So there you have it. Inflation number for July is out, so 24.08%. Let's drill down on this with Mr. Ayode, the Managing Director of Optimus by AfroInvest, joins us virtually from Lagos. Mr. Aibo, good morning, and thank you for your time.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
So 24.08%, can we say the worst is over? We were still expecting more.
I won't say the worst is over. We know the factors. When you look at the factors that are driving the inflation rates, number one factor is fuel prices. We saw, because that impacts on transportation costs. And once the cost of moving the items also increase, it will be added to the cost of selling the items. So we don't know where that is going to cap at, because when you also look at crude oil prices fits into PMS price, exchange rate is now a major factor that is driving up the price for Nigeria. So we can't say the worst is over. And when you also look at even the food inflation, there's also some major concern around flooding, as insecurity. We don't think we are also seeing significant improvement in that area. So if we're also not planting when we are supposed to, then there will be nothing also to harvest. So there are major or several pressure points that will still push up inflation rates.
Yeah, you mentioned food, and we see food going from 25.25 to 26.98, almost 2%. That is so scary, and this is something we cannot do without. And this is in spite of the fact that we have it in abundance. We have agricultural potential in abundance in the country.
Yes, but thanks. But it's also good to note that what we are looking at here is the average for the food basket. There are some items that have moved close to 100%, and some maybe by just 1 or 2%. So, so that our viewers are also not surprised that we're talking about 26% on a year-on-year basis, and they can see the price of rice have moved by almost 50%, even in the last 1 year, almost 70%. So this is a basket, and really it's scary. You know, wages are not increasing, and when we talk about real wages relative to what you actually receive, is declining day by day, because companies also don't have that leeway to increase salaries due to a lot of the challenges. Because what happens is that when prices increase, the ability to demand will reduce, which will affect production, and if they are not able to produce more due to lower demand, it leads to downsizing or that is being impacted. There are some inefficiencies that we also pay for that we need to take care of. The cost of bringing things from the north by road to Lagos, if we have a good rail system, it will be cheaper, which means that if we can bring down significantly the cost of transporting food items, it means the selling price would also decline. So these are areas where we need to focus more on. In planting, if we take care of insecurity, that can even be like a quick win. If we can take care of insecurity and people are able to go back to the farm and they plant more, it means that the supply would increase. As supply increases, that may also bring down prices. These are some of the things that can be done to food prices account for about 50% of the total basket. So to bring down inflation rates or to reduce the prices of things, we need to remove some of those inefficiencies. Importing things, even through when you look at our ports, there needs to be a rejig of the operational process, because when you also speak with the professionals in that area, what they pay for demurrage, the time it takes them to even clear those goods, we would eventually, is the final consumer that pays for these things. So if while government is trying to stabilize because revenue, there's revenue challenge, trying to formulate policies, there are some quick wins that we can take care of to reduce some of these inefficiencies, which I call it self-inflicted or self-imposed cost? Because if we take care of them, we won't have to be paying for that, and that may reduce the burden in the interim while we work on long-term policies.
Yeah, taking care of the inefficiencies. Very important point there, Mr. Abel. Thank you. But just briefly now, before we let you go, talking about these baskets, you know, what we use to measure inflation. Sometimes there are conversations as in how realistic is it? When last was it updated to ensure that really, because some people say our inflation currently is far above even 50%, if you want to be real. And as you noted, I mean, you look at the bag of rice, for instance, so year on year, you know that it's more than 100% higher. But how realistic and how can we, okay, let me say with how realistic is it? How can we make it really capture the reality when we talk about inflation and some other data in the country?
Okay, thanks. First of all, look at when last was the basket constituted. I think, if I'm correct, it should be in 2009. And it's important that when you also now look at what Nigerians spend money on, when you look at Nigerians spend, when you look at the MDS data, breaking it down based on expenditure, you will see that beyond food, Nigerians also spend money on telecom and on data communications. So there's a need to reconstitute that basket to reflect what actually the inflation rate is. There's a need to do that. So I agree that may not totally portray the reality on ground. And beyond that, even if it's reconstituted, there are also items on a year-on-year. So you would see that over time, even the NBS also released data on food prices. So you can go back to trace, when you're looking at food inflation, what are those items that actually accounted for the major push? So that sometimes show more reality than when you look at it based on the whole numbers, because it's a weighted average and it captures, there may be some items that maybe there's a glut and prices have declined. That may be a drag to some of the prices that we feel that have increased when you're looking at the food basket.
So I believe it's the job of the NBS. So NBS, we need to update our basket to capture the reality when it comes to inflation and some other data, as the GDP and all of that. But thank you so much for your time, Mr. Ayodije Abel.
Always my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, now we'll take a break, but during that break, we'll tell you about what FBN Holdings has done. They had an AGM yesterday, and this is in spite of the fact that there's a matter in court concerning that. And at that AGM, they agreed that the sum of 17.9 billion naira is set to be distributed to shareholders of FBN Holdings PLC as dividend accruing from the group's earnings in 2022. The board of directors received shareholders' approval. They were there virtually for the distribution of the declared amount at the company's 11th annual general meeting in Lagos.